So in this video we're going to look at just an introduction to turtle graphics. Now if you've done any Python before, you may have come across turtle because it's quite commonly used for people starting to program. So you may be familiar with it. I'm not going to use it much on this module, but it's nice to start with something you're familiar with, and don't worry if you've never made it before. It's a very nice, easy, gentle introduction to graphics. It comes built into Python and allows you to create some really intricate 2D graphics and games. And in fact, it's so built in that Idle even has a turtle demo. Let's have a look at some examples. So if you go Help, Turtle Demo, and it will pop up a little window, and then you can choose from a list of examples. So by design, you can see here is the code here, and if I run that code without knowing what it does, it draws really quite an intricate design for quite a short amount of code to do that. Or let's have a look at this one. I can animate a sorting algorithm. So if I start that, so this is really just to show how sorting algorithms work, and if I use Q for quick sort, hit Q, and it shows you how the algorithm works. Okay, we haven't got time to look at that, but you can look at that in your own time. Or here's another one, Wikipedia, and if I hit start, this draws a nice, pretty, colourful pattern, using again quite short amount of code. Right. What we're going to do now is look at the Yin-Yang demo and modify it. So how do we do that? Well, we can open it up. We can copy the whole thing. So just hit Control-A to select all and Control-C to copy. And then we can, in Idle, click Control-N to have a new file and Control-V to paste. So these shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, you should be familiar with if you've done much work on a computer. They're pretty standard in things like Word. If not, get used to them because they're going to save you a lot of time. Okay, so let's do that. So the Yin-Yang program just draws that Yin-Yang design you're probably familiar with. So two sort of comma shapes with circles. There you go. And if I want to modify the code, I can't modify it here, but what I can do is Control-A to select it all, Control-C to copy it, and then go back to my Idle window, and I can do File, New, or Control-N. Let's do Control-N to create a new editor window and paste that in, Control-V to paste, and then save that. And I'm going to put it in my folder. Let's call it Yin-Yang. Okay. And then I can run that from in here. So if I hit F5, that should run, and it'll do exactly the same design, except now it's running from, I'm running from my Idle shell and not from that demo, that turtle demo. Okay, so we can run it with F5. Now let's modify it. So we don't know how turtle works yet, or maybe you do, but I haven't explained how it works. But there's some easy changes you could make. And what might they be? Well, if you look at the design, I guess the obvious thing would be the size, so the radius of those circles, and the colors. Okay, radius and colors. So if you look through the code, this is what you often have to do, is try and find out where it is you've got to change it. Well, it's pretty obvious. If I look down here, black and white, white and black, this is probably where the colors are being set in. It's also, this 200 is also, I have to know, it's setting the radius. So we're going to change that to 100. And if I run that, you'll see I get a much smaller one. Still black and white. And I can change it to 50. Again, easily. And there we get an even smaller one. And of course you can change the colors as well. So let's have red and blue. And that affects, you'll see, it affects what the fill is inside those circles. Not affecting the line that's being drawn, but it's affecting the fill inside that first shape. Okay, let's undo that. Control Z to undo. And this illustrates quite an important thing about programming, is that you can mess around with programs, you can break them. The only important thing is that you've got something you can go back to. If I break the program, I can go back to the original, I can get the original and start again. So you should get into the habit of just messing around with programs. It's really, it's not a dangerous thing to do. Okay, now you'll have noticed that every time I wanted to do that, I had to make two identical changes. And if they're not identical, I'm not going to demonstrate this, but if they're not identical, it doesn't work properly, because I'm setting these two interlocking shapes that have to be the same radius. So a better way to do that, because I don't want to have, I don't want to have to change this thing twice. A better way to do it is store it in one place and then change that one thing. And one way of doing that is like this. Let me demonstrate that. So I'm going to create a storage place of what's called a variable and save that number. Oops. Well, let's change it to something else. Right. 60. We'll make it 60. And now I can use that value 60, which is stored in my radius variable. I can use it, and if I run that, it'll be correct. Okay, it's creating one that's a radius 60. And now, having done that, I only need to make one change. If I want to change it to something bigger, I can change it once, and there's no danger of forgetting to update the values everywhere. And in this program, I only need it to update it twice, but it could be a very complicated program, might need to be changed in hundreds of places. So that